Welcome to our presentation, Scrum Practices. Today I will talk about the 4 Scrum practices from the Scrum Guide, and let's anticipate that we already have a backlog. Backlog collects all the requirements for the product, and another session we are going to talk about the refinement process. So let's start first with the sprint planning. When we have all the requirements in the backlog, we are starting from the top. All requirements which are refined and already prioritized. So in the sprint planning, we are going to talk about what we are going to commit in next 2 weeks, if the sprint is 2 weeks. The duration of sprint planning is usually 2 to 3 hours per team, but it depends a lot of the refinement and the quality of the requirements in the backlog. The possible agenda for the meeting can be that the product owner starts with the suggestion of sprint objectives, and the teams maybe discuss it. And the next step can be that the Scrum Master presents the capacity of the team. They have to agree on how much they can take in sprint, how much work they are going to commit on. And on the end, they finish with some risk agreement on how we are going to mitigate that risk so we can be a success in the team. I want to share with you some common pitfalls. So one of them, they're forgetting to take spillover from previous sprint if they have a previous one, and on that way they are taking too much in the sprint, or they are very optimistic, so they are taking too much work in the sprint, and in the end they cannot complete that work. And the last one is that they forget to talk about dependencies between tasks and what is the risk if some person is taking too much and we are dependent on him. Next Scrum practice is daily Scrum. Daily Scrum is each day and whole team is participating. On daily Scrum, the Scrum Master is usually the facilitator, but it's not necessary if the Scrum Master is sick, so everybody in the team can take this meeting and facilitate this one. It's usually about 50 minutes. The goal of daily stand-up is that we expect our progress on the deliverables. So each day we are talking about what we achieved the day before, what we are going to work today, and especially very important is that we inspect, are we dependent on each other and how we are going to progress. It's very necessary to talk about the impediments which the Scrum Master can take and escalate or maybe remove these impediments. To prepare for this meeting, it's necessary that the team, each member in the team, is aware of what the status of his and her task is. Common pitfalls in that practice is that the teams are focusing a lot of what I did yesterday. So it's becoming like a status meeting for the team. They're usually talking to the Scrum Master, like the Scrum Master is a product manager, but they actually have to focus a lot of what kind of dependencies or what kind of impediments I have. So on that way they can talk how they can help each other. Another pitfall is that we are not inspecting our progress on a sprint goals we agreed on. And the last one is that usually the teams are discussing too much a solutions decision in these meetings, and that's why the daily stand-up meetings sometimes take a lot of time. Next Scrum practice is the sprint review. Sprint review is a meeting where the team are participating, but everybody else who is interested in our progress is more than welcome. The goal of the meeting is that we show what we did in our sprint, and that's one we are showing in our demo. To get a feedback for the other participants and from the stakeholders, and we want to reflect on what we are not achieving or how to adjust the next sprint. To be prepared for that, it's necessary that the development team are ready with the whole test environment to show the demo. The product owner have idea of what we are going to take in the next sprint, and the Scrum Master is already booked locations and invite all relevant people. Common pitfalls in these practices are that the stakeholders are not invited. Another one is that the Scrum Master is presenting the demo because he or she is like a project manager for the team. And another part is that we are not reflecting on what we didn't achieve in the team and what is the reason that we didn't achieve the committed task. In Agile way of working and thinking, it's very important that we learn from our errors. So that's why the next practice is very important, and it's called sprint retrospective. Sprint retrospective is one of the very important meetings where the team is taking learnings from the sprint period before. The goal of the meeting is that the team evaluates what worked well and where to improve and what action to take to improve. So usually agenda for this meeting can be that we are starting collecting all the information from all team members. We are grouping the information, and after we collect all data, we prioritize which one is the most important and what we can achieve in that period of 2 weeks. When it's done, when we choose the 3 most important, for instance, we can start doing some actions on that and create smart actions. The common pitfall is that that meeting was not held because it's not important. But when we hold the meeting, it's actually some other common pitfalls. We are not collecting the data from all team members, maybe because they are not invited, or we are grouping on a wrong way where we group different issues that we cannot collect in one concrete action, or we are not doing a very good actions because actions are too big and we cannot achieve them in one sprint, or maybe it's not possible that we can do some improvements in the team, but they have to be done in a program level. That was the 4 practices in Scrum, and actually each of them is very important. So if we have a good backlog, we will get a great sprint planning meeting. If we agree on our commitments, we can do a very good daily stand-up and see how the progress is. And when we are done with that, the review meetings collects all the information, our deliverables, and we are showing them to the stakeholders. And on the end, we learn how to continue the process all the time and be better.